So today we are going to be talking about Caitlin Clark, which means today is just like any other day on this channel. But we are going to be talking about Caitlin Clark talking with, or sorry, not Caitlin Clark. We're going to be talking about a former NBA player talking with Dan Dakic, who obviously has a show. I don't know if it's at, is it on Outkick? I think he has a show on Outkick, and I know, was it him? I think it might have been him that Lynn Dunn used to go on his show quite a lot. And I might be wrong with that. Yeah, Lynn Dunn used to go on his show a lot to discuss the Fever. So he's someone that obviously has a little bit of ins with the organization and kind of ins with the kind of Caitlin Clark whole situation. But yeah, let's take a listen to what Michael Thompson, father of Klay Thompson, said about this. And by the way, the fact that he is the dad of somebody who was there during the Steph Curry boom, which is the most comparable thing to what Caitlin Clark is doing right now, is Steph Mania. Caitlin Mania, the closest thing we've seen. Obviously, there was Jimmer Mania. Obviously, there was Jimmer Mania. But Jimmer Mania lasted a couple of months. We had Steph Mania, post Jimmer Mania, and then Clark Mania, which has lasted near 2 years, pretty, like 1st of April. Yeah, 2 years Clark Mania has lasted for.
Well, they don't like Caitlin Clark. You know, Caitlin Clark, I've been noticing, I've been following her career since she was a sophomore at Iowa, and I recognized how different she was, how different she played the game. She played the game like Steph Curry. We had never seen a woman play like that before.
And I think the scariest part is that while she shoots like Steph Curry, she plays the game like Tyrese Halliburton. She's like some mismatch or some like mashup of Steph Curry and Magic Johnson. Like in just the way that she can play the game. And there's nobody on the women's side that can manipulate defenses like Caitlin Clark, because she draws so much gravity, and you couple that with being one of the two best passers in the world. Like even if you look, say, at the NBA, like is maybe a bit different to Halliburton because Halliburton's so careful with the ball. There's no player in basketball that's even like, she's a combination of different players. There's no player that you can compare to Caitlin Clark just because of how she plays the game of basketball. And that's the mad thing is, like, everything is, she's a female Steph Curry, and it's like, she's the female Steph Curry, but also the damn pace setter. And I know Steph Curry does that in a different way, but that's one of the craziest things about her.
And I knew once she got further along in her career in college, I used to tell all my colleagues who are not into women's basketball, I say, hey, man, you got to check out this girl at Iowa, man. She shoots from the logo. She shoots from almost half court. She's different. And I was trying to emphasize her for about a year. Then he finally caught on. And men who travel with us in our traveling party, who are basically anti-women's basketball, just didn't care for it, didn't want to talk about it, had no interest in it at all. All of a sudden, they started watching Caitlin Clark and got intrigued by her.
And that's one of those things that people don't ever talk about, is that the difference between Caitlin Clark and Paige and Juju is that Caitlin Clark has got non-basketball fans to watch Caitlin Clark. There are very few players in the history of ball that have got non-basketball fans. Sorry, not even non-basketball fans. She has got non-women's basketball fans. Obviously, the kitchen jokes have kind of almost been eradicated from the WNBA. These people are now starting to watch. But, and that's the big thing, is that there's nobody, as good as Juju is, as good as Paige is, no one's disrespecting their game, to be fair. But, the amount of respect that Caitlin Clark has, just the Caitlin Clark getting people to watch, has brought to the sport, is something that people do not understand as well. And she's gotten the casual fans to watch. There are very few players, you have to be a combination of elite and box office. And it's so rare that there is a player that's elite in box office. Magic was, Larry was, for his day, Michael Jordan was. I'm just trying to think, in my lifetime, yeah, there was the likes of David Thompson and stuff, but the NBA was in its cocaine era then. But in not even my lifetime, in my lifetime and a little bit beforehand. So in my lifetime, when I was born, it was all Be Like Mike. There was Michael Jordan, who transcended basketball. Then it was Kobe. Kobe was box office and elite. Shaq, for a small amount of time, was that. Then LeBron. The problem with LeBron is when LeBron was at his most fun to watch was when he was like late Cleveland days. And when he started winning, he became more methodical, slow, like control the game. So he became less fun to watch as he got better as a player. As he got better as a player and he started winning more. And then I don't think Luka's box office. I think Trae Young is, but I don't think he's good enough to be at the tippity top level. We'll see with Anthony Edwards. Ja Morant's not good enough. So Curry's the last time it's happened that somebody has been this box office and has been at the top of the game. And somebody walking in as a rookie as the fourth best player in the league. Like, I'm sorry. Like, people are like, oh, she's not the best in the world. But it's like, she's the fourth best player in the world. Like, it's like saying that, oh, you know, she's not at that elite level. Is like saying Giannis is not at that elite level in the NBA. Yeah, I'd deem Giannis the maybe Tatum. But like, she's the fourth best player in the world and the best player to watch by a mile. And it does help that, like, having her with Kelsey Mitchell and the players she has makes that team so much more fun. And the Iowa team, how much they ran. But it's still a fact that Caitlin Clark is really freaking fun to watch play basketball. And that's the one thing that's changed, you forget about all of this, is that more people, there were like 20 million people that watched the championship game against South Carolina versus Caitlin Clark. It was more than double the year before. The year before was like 6 or 7 million because everyone wanted to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. Didn't matter who it was against. Everyone wanted to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. The WNBA All-Star game, like, yeah, there are stories for rivalries, but she is the main player to watch. And the fact the WNBA should be pushing Caitlin versus everyone. They should be making They should be doing what the Phoenix Mercury are doing. What the Phoenix Mercury are doing was unbelievable. Last year it was Caitlin against Taurasi. This year it's Caitlin against Copper, promoting everything with her. And then when they're playing against the Sky, it's Copper against Reese. Like, the Phoenix Mercury know what they're doing. Genuinely, they know what they're doing for promotion. And that's what every team should be doing. Every team should be hyping up the damn Fever coming to town, and also be doing it with every other team. They should ramp up their social media with everyone. Promote everyone. But just make sure as hell that when the Fever come to town, it's you're getting it packed out and everyone watches that game. Because the more people that watch you for that game, the more chance there is of people staying. They have to watch. For people to stay, they have to watch you once.
And they became fans of her and her game. And now that she's in the WNBA, man, I tell you, she needs a Jeep endorsement, a commercial, because Jeep is an acronym that I've come up with of the way she has been treated and not welcomed into the WNBA. Jeep, the acronym is JEEP, and that stands for jealousy, envy, egos, and pettiness. Jeep.
I mean, look, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Michael Thompson's not wrong, but it's one of those. It's one of those always things where it's like the vocal minority always is a big factor because it's like, or is always the loudest. Like, obviously, look, the month of June when she took about 5 cheap shots, from the month of May. Between the middle of May to the end of May, she took about 4 hits to the head. She took a punch to the neck. She took a cheap shot from Kennedy Carter. Like, those first 10 games were grim. But, like, if we look at the top players in the WNBA, yes, Aja Wilson has not embraced Caitlin, is one of the Hatelins. But, like, we can't forget, like, Aja Wilson was literally, growing up, she was one of the Twitter trolls saying mad stuff about Brittany Griner. So, it's not like there can be any expectation that that wasn't going to happen. Stewie, I mean, I don't think really said anything too crazy. Sabrina, obviously, Caitlin and Sabrina are close. Jonquel Jones, big fan of Caitlin Clark. Like, if we're looking at the top players, like Angel Reese, Angel Reese wants this rivalry to live on because it's making her tens of millions. On top of the stuff she's doing herself, the rivalry is what's going to make her tens of millions during the season. She's doing everything else outside. Everything in the off season is her own doing. Obviously, it's her own doing, but she's keeping that alive. Then you've got, I'm trying to think of other players. Arike has embraced Caitlin. Kelsey Plum hasn't said a bad word about her. it's just, the problem is that, again, it is just with the WNBA. I don't know what the hell was happening to start the season. Like, Dejanay and the Sun just had it out for Caitlin Clark. I think Dejanay was a Caitlin fan. I genuinely think that it was like Dejanay locked, the first time they played, Dejanay locked her up. Then logged into Twitter to see all the shit that was being posted, and then take out her anger on Fever fans and took out her anger. I still don't believe she meant to eye gouge Caitlin, but I do believe she meant to hit Caitlin in the head. Like, that would be just my opinion. But again, the only person that knows for a fact is Dejanay what was meant to be done in that situation. But yeah, it is one of those things, because there were a lot of WNBA players that were going out of their way, but it was a weird one because it was a few of the tippity top players, but it was a lot of the lower players. It was a lot of the players that it just made no sense in what they were trying to do. And like, the funny thing is, like, the Ari McDonald face guarding her when she had another free throw to shoot, like, they're the type of things that are just basketball. But some of the things where it's like, I genuinely think if Kennedy Carter hadn't hit Caitlin Clark, Kennedy Carter's an all-star last year. And Kennedy Carter's in the league this year. Even though, like, to be fair, if she didn't do it to Marina Mabry as well. Like, there were so many weird players like that where it's like Victoria Vivians. What does Victoria Vivians feel the need to punch her in the neck? Like, I get it. Alyssa Thomas is Alyssa Thomas. She's an enforcer. It is what it is. Did she hit Caitlin with a dirty shoulder to face? Yeah, she chokeslammed Angel Reese and then shoved someone into Angel Reese's knee. Like, she is just the dirtiest player in the WNBA. So it's nothing targeted there. But it was just such a weird way to start off the year with the conversation. I think the league itself did a bad job of that. The league itself, the rumor was, the league itself literally went out of their way. They didn't expect Caitlin to be good. Not even the rumor was, the chief marketing officer said they didn't expect Caitlin Clark to be good. So it's just it was just an all-around weird situation. But in fairness, I think towards the end of the year, it did improve. It very much did improve, especially with the amount of players going to Indiana. I think amongst the players, it's a lot less than last year, this type of stuff. But the fact is, again, we saw the media saying that it was the Fever fans were unsafe because every time there was an ominous vibe, because every time the Fever scored, the fans would erupt and it felt ominous. Like, we can never forget that article, which was mental. But I think what he was saying here is the most important part about it, is that there are what people don't realize is the majority of people that are going to these Fever games are men who are really big fans of basketball, bringing their little kids, whether it be their sons or their daughters, bringing their a lot of the time bringing their daughters to games. It is huge basketball fans who they're able to go in the summer. The tickets are cheaper. It's cheaper than going to an NBA game, and a lot of men, a lot of fathers, or even mothers, like, it's a whole family thing, and a lot of fathers especially being happy that they're able to go watch women's sports and it's fun, and maybe instill a love for basketball in their daughters. Like, that's one of the big things that has come from this. The people like to talk about it like it's a bad thing, but it's an objectively good thing. And it's not just Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin started it. Like, we have to say, like, as much as the Aces, the Liberty did a good job, but it's Caitlin started the boom. The Aces and the Liberty helped bring women's basketball out of the worst spot it ever been in, especially the Aces. But Caitlin caused the boom, and there is no player that's going to make somebody that is a fan, that is a casual basketball fan, watch. Like, casual basketball fans aren't watching Nikola Jokic, but there's no player that will make a casual basketball fan watch more than Caitlin Clark in men's or women's basketball, which is one of the maddest things. Like, who would have ever guessed that, like, when everyone's making the face of the NBA arguments, the face of the NBA arguments, who would have guessed that the face of basketball would have been a WNBA player? Like, who would have ever guessed? So yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. That is the video. I genuinely do agree with what Michael Thompson has said. And especially early on, there was, like, very much seemingly a resentment for Caitlin Clark amongst the players. Like, remember when Caitlin Clark's shoe deal got leaked and suddenly not even half the players, a bunch of WNBA players are talking about it, complaining about it. Like, it's it was just WNBA was in a weird space where the stands were interacting with players and the media was just stands. It was just a lot of weird stuff, to be honest. But yeah, it's hopefully coming into next season, we'll see more basketball talk. And I'm glad, especially over the off season and over the summer, while like the views haven't been the greatest, there's been a lot more stories and a lot more players that become interesting, and you can make videos on a lot more things throughout the season for myself. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys.